Well, good evening to you and welcome to this edition of KTN's Friday Briefing. My name is Edith Kimani. I hope you had a lovely day. I really hope that at no point did you have to evade elephants that were chasing after you. And I also hope that a blistering sun didn't keep you away from your seat because the sand was too hot and you didn't have a seat. Unfortunately, this is a reality for nursery school going children in Laikipia County. Well, our reporter Karen Derry has been following that story and will be airing it to you later on in this bulletin. But not everything is depressing. We do have Willis, the word master, who will be joining us from Kisumu, teaching us once more how to pronounce words we thought we knew. So he'll be coming your way shortly. But also, the real Househelps of Kawangware, they are a ridiculous lot. They'll be joining me later on as our guests on our guest anchor slot. Right now, though, we begin with what is happening between the Labour Cabinet Secretary Kazungu Kambi and KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli. Well, the Labour Cabinet Secretary Kazungu Kambi has removed KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli and Federation of Kenya Employers CEO Jacqueline Mugo from the Board of Trustees of the National Social Security Fund, or NSSF if you like. Now, Kambi said the two trustees had served for more than 2 terms and it was time to inject fresh blood. But in an immediate rejoinder, the KOTU Secretary General says Kambi has no powers to retire either of them. As KTN's associate editor Noah Otieno now reports, the fresh war between Kambi and Atwoli might boil down to who has the right interpretation of the NSSF Act 2013.
I have retired from the Board of Trustees, Mr. Francis Atwoli and Mrs. Jacqueline Mugo, who have served in the board for 15 years and 11 years respectively.
This statement from the Labour Cabinet Secretary Kazungu Kambi appeared to be the culmination of weeks of wrangling between Kambi and the KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli, two men who have hardly seen eye to eye since the Labour Cabinet Secretary's appointment last year. As expected, the KOTU boss could not take it lying down.
Has no any slightest authority whatsoever under any known law of the land to retire me or to retire the representative of the Federation of Kenya Employers.
Kambi maintains that he has acted within the law in line with the new NSSF Act 2013 to retire Atwoli and the FKA CEO Jacqueline Mugo. Kambi quotes the part of the Act which states that no board member can serve for more than 2 terms of 3 years each. Atwoli maintains this is just a scheme to throw him out for selfish interests.
Maneno ya ufisadi hatutayokubali. Na ile ilikuwa NSSF ni ile NSSF ya zamani. NSSF ya leo ni NSSF mpya.
You can't have a broker as a chairman of the board. That is an appointment of the government. Those are the things you start with. You cannot reform independent bodies that sit on the board you say you are reforming. We are from a free and independent constituencies that Kambi Kazungu has no control over.
Kambi and Atwoli have clashed severally, including when they disagreed on the implementation of the 5 billion shilling Tasia 2 settlement scheme and later over the registration of rival trade union Pusetu Kenya, which Atwoli claimed was being used to fight him. But Atwoli now alleges there is another scam of 1.7 billion shillings that he claims has found its way into the pockets of shady individuals since January this year.
Anybody who is supporting what Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Labor is doing, anybody who is supporting that, I doubt him. I doubt him. I doubt him.
I might have some few differences with the Atwoli, but that is normal. In fact, it's healthy.
Atwoli now maintains it's only the president who can cool the heat and solve the differences.
I have another 6 years under this, because now I'm deemed to have been appointed afresh.
On Sunday, KOTU now plans to meet all its affiliate unions in order to deliberate on the matter. Now, KTN Friday Briefing.
Well, Kambi and Atwoli are not the only ones who are upset this evening. Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Lenku has expressed dissatisfaction with the government chemist over contradictory reports on deaths from adulterated alcohol. Now, he has also warned that heads of institutions charged with monitoring and preventing alcohol and drug abuse would be sacked should more Kenyans die from poisonous drinks. KTN's Patrick Amimo has more.
And I'm sure we have...
It was a sobering moment of truth as the stakeholders sat down with NACADA to debate the alcohol crisis. This Nairobi meeting coming in the wake of 28 deaths this week in Nandi and Uasin Gishu counties following consumption of toxic liquor. A total of 115 people have been killed by toxic brew across the country in the last 2 months. The month of May reported 8 deaths from poisonous drinks that were laced with methanol. Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Lenku now says it's not going to be business as usual, and heads of government agencies charged with licensing, monitoring and preventing alcohol and drug abuse must take responsibility.
Somebody somewhere is not doing his or her work. Government chemists, clearly, we are absolutely unhappy with your performance, and we want to see an improvement. You can't say out of all this death and out of all over 200 brands tested, you only found 1 or 2. It makes no sense at all. It is unacceptable and it is corruption driven. NACADA and KEBS are saying it's not me, it is not me. And it cannot be, none of us is responsible for what is not happening.
In the last 3 months, over 900 people have been hospitalized in different counties across Kenya after imbibing adulterated liquor. NACADA says survivors of toxic drinks suffer long-term side effects.
Liver cirrhosis, brain damage, memory loss, lung infection, high blood pressure, stomach ulcers, inflammation of the pancreas, colon cancer, impotence, obesity, mental health, among other very, very many conditions.
NACADA defended its recent survey, which shows 13.6% of Kenyans aged between 15 and 65 years consume alcohol. In order to arrest alcohol abuse, the forum urged the government to revive the Chemicals Control Bill of 1994, as well as regulating importation of methanol and alcoholic drinks. The government this week closed 78 manufacturing lines of alcoholic beverages following the recent spate of alcohol-related deaths.
Anybody who will not meet the standards as provided by the law will be delicensed.
Patrick Amimo, KTN.
Well, the Interior Cabinet Secretary is very categorical on that issue, saying that should one more person die from adulterated drinks, then heads will roll. And that is the basis of our big question this evening. And we're asking you, do you think the government's threat will deter distributors of toxic liquor? Do you think that threat will deter distributors of of toxic liquor? The number to SMS is 22155. Very easy. You could also use the hashtag Friday Briefing to send your comments and responses on Twitter, or speak to me directly. I am at Edith_Kimani. To an international news now, one that has gathered international attention, and that's of the Malaysian airline tragedy. And families of those who were on the Malaysian flight MH17 that crashed late last evening in Ukraine assembled at the Schiphol airport in Amsterdam, awaiting news on their kin. The passenger and crew list so far indicates that almost 2/3 of those on board were Dutch nationals. It's yet to be confirmed, however, who shot down the plane as it was flying over rebel territory in eastern Ukraine. As KTN's Mashirima Kapombe reports, it is also feared that almost 100 of the victims were top World AIDS researchers and activists headed to Australia for the International AIDS Conference.
Relatives and friends of 298 passengers aboard the MH17 plane that crashed in eastern Ukraine arrive at the airport where just yesterday their loved ones began an ill-fated journey. At the crash site, the horrific scene only told a story that has no hope of survivors, as officials confirmed that all passengers perished in the crash.
Just want to know the name list only. We can confirm, we don't need to wait here. We also cannot do anything waiting here. We just want to know the name list.
The international community has called for investigations into the crash that is suspected to have been a missile attack by Ukrainian rebels who have denied responsibility.
I'm closely monitoring the reports along with the International Civil Aviation Organization or United Nations agency. There is a clear need a full and transparent international investigation.
The flight passenger data so far indicates that the majority of the victims were Dutch nationals, about 173 of them. Initial reports also suggest that most of the 298 passengers may have been headed to Australia for the International AIDS Conference scheduled to begin on Sunday in Melbourne. The ill-fated plane was flying over rebel territory on its way to Kuala Lumpur from Amsterdam and is believed to have been shot down between the Ukraine and Russian border. The plane was completely destroyed, but it is reported that 2 black boxes have been retrieved from the wreckage. The Ukrainian rebels have committed themselves to not interfere with investigations into the crash. This is the second disaster to hit Malaysian airlines this year. In March, flight MH370 disappeared 1 hour after takeoff from Kuala Lumpur on its way to Beijing. 239 people from 14 countries were on board and nothing has been found of it. Mashirima Kapombe, KTN.
As Mashirima Kapombe reports, it's a developing story, and should more details be unearthed, we will definitely be giving them to you. Back home, 6 doctors suspended from the Kenya Medical Research Institute back in 2011 will receive 5 million shillings each as compensation. Now, this is according to a ruling made by Principal Judge Matthew Nduma of the Industrial Court right here in Nairobi in favor of the 6. The Industrial Court in Nairobi has ruled that the 6, among them Samson Guer, Nahashon Thuo, John Wagai, Moses Nderito and Albert Komba, had sued KEMRI for scientific misconduct, career stagnation, and procedural layoff and racism. According to Justice Matthew Nduma, he ruled that the petitioners had faced systematic discrimination and violation of their fundamental rights and were therefore entitled to their certificates of service and a lump sum payment of 5 million shillings each. KEMRI has been ordered to pay them within 30 days.
Damages, of which we are pleased with that. But we also noticed that the court has, that the judgment includes many other things that we haven't perused through. And once we peruse through them, we're going to be in a better position to know how to handle this problem.
We're really happy about today's ruling, which really indicates that we've succeeded in our petition. It's just the first step in direction in looking at such unequal relationships and really fighting against servitude of Kenyan professionals.
The Amnesty International report released on Monday continues to elicit varied reactions. The human rights organization claimed the Kenyan government was yet to compensate a section of IDPs, a report corroborated by those who are still in camps. But the government maintains all genuine IDPs have been resettled, and KTN's Wilkis Tanyabwa has the details.
Residents of Kamwingi camp in Uasin Gishu say this is their new reality, or at least as new can be after 6 years. Kamunya is one of the oldest men here. He lost his eyesight 4 years ago while living in this camp. He now depends on his neighbors for food and other basic needs. But even for the able-bodied, these are hard to come by. The government stopped supplying food long ago. The IDPs at this camp claim their troubles began shortly after the announcement of the 2007 presidential election results. They say they were then ejected from their homes and forced to seek refuge at the Eldoret Stadium. After a year, they found their way to this camp. Over 600,000 Kenyans were displaced during the post-election violence, and a section were later resettled. In 2013, the government announced plans to resettle all remaining IDPs. But tents still dot the landscape in regions such as Eldoret and Nyeri, and those who live here claim they have been forgotten.
Ilikuwa serikali imetuarifu kwamba itatuharakishia na tuweze kusaidiwa jinsi tumejiunga kikundi kwa wepesi. lakini imekuwa ni kuishi.
This corroborated by a report released by Amnesty International, which claimed that the government was yet to fulfill its promises to IDPs.
Far too many victims are still waiting for justice, waiting for reparations.
But government officials tell a different story. They claim that residents from the remaining camps were not considered on allegations that they were not genuine.
We paid off all the IDPs who were profiled as at 2007. We are aware there are a number of integrated IDPs who decided to go back to their homes. We facilitated by paying them the 10,000 shillings, and we paid right across the board.
Every household of the last batch of internally displaced persons received 400,000 shillings to buy land, and thus the government says the last of the IDPs were resettled.
We want to recognize that fact, that maybe at the point of doing the profiling, a few, not many, a few people may have been omitted, and we have commissioned the provincial administration to relook at the exercise if there are any genuine cases, because we know them.
The legitimacy of the claim of those remaining in the camps now in question as the section continue to squat on plots of land at the mercy of the owners. Wilkiston Abwa, KTN.
Here's a story we spoke about earlier. Safe learning in an open-air classroom under a tree is really not torture enough for pupils at the Lorubai Nursery School in Laikipia County. The pupils have to dodge marauding elephants that sometimes disrupt lessons. It's unimaginable. But this is the sad state of affairs at that nursery school in Laikipia North. And KTN's senior reporter, Karen Derry, was in Laikipia and brings us the following story.
The desire to quench the thirst for education has seen these eager children troop to the Lorubai Nursery School in Laikipia North, despite numerous odds that face them. No desks to speak of, and they have to make do with the bare, sandy ground, despite the scorching sun that makes the sand extremely hot. The vagaries of weather render learning at Lorubai almost impossible, as told to us by their teacher, Rebecca Chelly. This teacher also serves as the head teacher, the clerk, accountant, you name it.
Sai, unaona kama wakati kama ya mvua sasa, tukiona tu mawingu iko imeanza kuwa msito, tunaanza kutawanyika kwenda manyumbani. Upepo tena naye inatusumbua.
Imagine this. From time to time, they have to dodge elephants that abound in this vast region. Rebecca recalls a time when she had to quickly gather the children and scamper with them to safety, away from the open-air classroom that was in the way of the elephants.
Tulikuwa pale, wamama wakaona ndovu zikipita hivi kwa ile boma. Wakaanza kukimbia mbio, wakakuja sasa ndio tukaanza kusanya watoto haraka tukakimbiza kwa hii boma. Sasa unaona na kuna watoto wadogo sana ambao hawataweza hata kukimbia.
The biting drought in parts of Laikipia County is yet another problem that they have to deal with. The hunger pangs often play havoc with the concentration of these children in class.
Kambi imetulemea sana kwa sababu sasa kama maji, kwanza maji ndio tuko na shida nyingi sana. Hata mtoni maji imekuwa kidogo. Sasa mpaka tunaenda mtoni, ndovu ndio imekuwa nyingi, sasa hiyo shida kubwa sana.
Kwa watoto wengine nashinda kuenda shule kwa ajili ya njaa. Mama natafuta pesa ya shule, natafuta ya watoto. Paka nasema wacha hii watoto yangu natoka kwa shule. Kwa alafu mimi na pambana kwa tumbo peke yake.
Hata ile pesa walikuwa wametuahidi bado tu tunangoja.
The management of nursery schools has since been devolved to the county level, and the question that begs is, what has the Laikipia County government done for these pupils?
Mshahara ni shida juu. Sasa unalipo kama kidogo, iko wakati unaambiwa leo kwa soko unapatiwa pesa kidogo nusu. Hawalipi yote safari moja ambayo itakusaidia. Ilikuwa ni Jumatano. Nikapatiwa shilingi 1,000. Sasa nikaona eri tu niendelee na hao watoto kwa sababu sasa nikiacha na niende tu nikae nyumbani bure, acha tu nikae nifumilie tu kuwafunza.
Like sometimes you're like, okay, you're very serious, you're late somewhere, then you're I'm like but I'm totally different from Awiti.
Okay, how different are you in real life? What are some of the characteristics about her that are not you? Awiti is very combative on the show, yeah.
But to say the truth, I'm not like so much different from Awiti, because if you step on me, I step back. But okay, Ruby is a very social chick. She likes to have fun, not like Awiti, who's always stepping on other people's toes. No.
Okay.
I like making friends so much.
Jugush, we'll come to you in just a second. First, I'm being told that there's information which has just come in. An unconfirmed report seems to indicate that another attack is underway in Lamu County at a place called Maisha Masha. Maisha Masha is near Witu, another place which suffered an attack last month. People living around the area have been calling frantically, reporting heavy exchange of gunfire. Now, we're still trying to yet independently confirm these reports, but those calling in say a bus may have been ambushed by gunmen on its way from Mombasa to Lamu. We will get you confirmation on these reports shortly. But we definitely have our ear to the ground in Lamu, and when details come in, confirmed details, we'll definitely be giving them to you. Back to our guest anchors. Jugush, you're wildly popular with the people. But now this character of yours, first of all, how many girlfriends does he have?
Wacha nikuambie. Sema ladies man. Thing is, Njuguna is this guy who comes from Shags. And maybe at times I tend to think that ladies love him because of his naivety. Yeah, the guy is so sweet. Wow. Na akipenda ni kama mwanamke anapenda. So that's Njugush and habakishi until amalize Kawangware yote. Then after hapo pengine tutaenda Udhiru.
Sasa leo lazima utuambie Njugush, who is the real girlfriend of Njugush? Make sure. Unaona mtu penye she's ready to fight. Even Trufena is ready to pounce on you.
Okay. To tell you the truth, applications zote ziko kwa meza.
Lakini nani ndio yuko ya nani ndio yuko top?
So it used to be Jambi. I used to feel that lady, but what she did to me, I can no longer stand it. For her For her, I can't say much. She's not. And right now, my eyes are on Matilda. She's this new chick in our hood, and I'm like, nauza marimari kwa wao.
What a twist. Yeah. Okay, Trufena. So, unasema story ya food. Is this because character wako anapenda food, ama ni because pia wewe unapenda chakula?
Mimi napenda chakula. Napenda chakula. Sababu mwili hawezi jengwa bila chakula.
Like
in real life.
In real life. Yeah. So what's the difference between you and Trufena then? We've established that you like food. I also like food, I have to say. I would probably play Trufena if I was on the show. What's the main difference between Trufena and Aisha?
I don't think if they did difference there.
Hakuna tofauti.
Mimi napenda kula, sasa kwa nini ndanga? Napenda kula. Allah hata mkanilete hapa bila kula.
Lakini Aisha napenda kuomba pesa sana, especially kutoka kwa Awiti. From what I've observed.
Awiti hazikupa.
Na lakini napenda kuomba pesa in real life.
Sasa pesa kwa nani apendi pesa?
Lakini kuomba kila wakati.
Na kama una.
Okay, sawa. So what are some of the best moments that you've had on the show so far? Jugosh, tuanze na wewe.
Yeah, me I'd say the best moments in the show, apart from the success we'd had, the best moment I'd say is when you go on set and you're like, you pray and then you start shooting, and then it's fun.
Where do you guys shoot?
In Kawangware.
In Kawangware.
Funny enough, it's in Kawangware. Yeah, so when we start shooting, it's fun. By the way, it's second to no other job, because when you start shooting, you laugh. But you laugh at each other. This did what? So the best part about it is when we are making it. When you're creating something. Yeah, when you're creating something together, and then after that, you see the reception, you're like, wow, we did that.
Okay. Yeah. Something else which you have to do, and then we'll be gauging your reception, is reading a story. So you have to decide which one of you three will be reading the story. First of all, Nando ata decide.
Not me.
My director is saying, Awiti asome.
Sauti yangu
mimi nataka Trufena asome.
Story gani?
Itakuwa hapa kwa auto cue utaisoma tu.
Gosh.
What?
Jugush soma.
Okay, Awiti, take the story then. Please look at camera 2, that's that one over there. And then what you do is introduce yourself, tell us why you're here, and then read the story.
Okay, my name's Awini Anyango, and you're watching Friday Briefing. We are here to represent the real househelps of Kawangware. Okay, back to the story on a very serious note. A 62-year-old man from Murang'a County has confessed that he defiled and possibly impregnated his 16-year-old daughter, forcing her to drop out of school. The man, however, claims that the devil is to blame for his actions. Njama Ismail brings you the story.
This turn of events has left residents of Kimbirwa village in Muranga in total disbelief. This young girl no longer attends classes at the Mirira Primary School because she's 4 months pregnant. The man accused of putting the 16-year-old child in the family way is her own 62-year-old father.
Nililala na yeye siku ya tarehe 7 mwezi wa 4.
The girl's condition became public after teachers at her school noticed she was withdrawn and missed some of her classes. They suspected she might be pregnant.
She said that she was not pregnant. So the headmaster reported the case to the assistant chief. And the assistant chief called the parents to his office. They did not go there.
A contingent of officers from the area administrator's office would later descend on the man's home to demand answers.
Katika Mirira sublocation, mambo kama haya ya mtoto kulala na baba yake sijawahi kuona tangu niandikwe, na sasa niko na karibu almost 80 years. Kwa hivyo hii ni kitendo kwanza nimeona ya kwangu na ndio ya kwanza.
Lessons continue at Mirira Primary School, but the Standard 7 girl now has to drop out to focus, at least for a while. The man has blamed the devil for making him commit the act.
Saitani atarisida mtu anaitwa Daudi na akafanya kitendo hicho, na wakati aliletewa nini akaomba msamaha na Mungu akamsamehe. Hata mimi naomba
This girl's younger siblings now watch as their father is taken away to the Muranga police station to answer to charges of defilement.
And we're back with the guest anchors. How did Awiti do?
We
tried.
She did the best.
This is a free space by the way. Njugush, sema chenye ulikuwa unataka kusema.
Tu hapa alafu tukimalizana
Hapana, hakuna yenye imesemwa hapa inaishia hapa.
Protect me, Madam Chair.
Protect. You are protected, please.
Na kusema ukweli, ni vizuri tuongee ukweli. Ni vizuri tuongee ukweli.
Ilikuwa tangera.
Ni vizuri tuongee ukweli. Amejaribu.
Anajua tu.
Acha Trufena by the way amesema yeye sema kitu mbaya.
Awiti ni best yangu.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to go take the business, and I want Jugush, actually Trufena, I want you to introduce him. You will face cam 4, you'll face cam 4, which is that one, and then say we are going to the business with Boni Tunya. In your audition yako, let's see how good you are as an anchor.
What am I going to say?
You just introduce him, you say,
introduce
your business and come and a letter news, his name is Boni Tunya.
Only that?
Yes.
Okay, this is Trufena. You're going to the business with Boni. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned indeed, and we'll go to Nyeri, exactly in Kieni, where farmers there, onion farmers, are making a lot of money from their profits. I'll tell you why. My name is Boni Tunya. This is Business. East African countries have been urged to promote the use of modern technology and linkages to grow the manufacturing sector. This is according to a report released by the African Development Bank on the statutes of the manufacturing sector in East Africa. The high cost of production has been singled out as the biggest challenge gripping the sector across the region that has made goods uncompetitive. As such, the sector is yet to meet its full potential in contributing to the economic growth as well as major source of employment. The report indicates that EAC government needs to relook policies governing the sector to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive.
Time has come when we must now start doing the right things. The time has come for manufacturing, and we must seize it.
The main purpose of the study has been to assess major constraints as well as opportunities for the development of the manufacturing sector in the region and to look into its potential to enhance its contribution to the region's economic transformation.
Right, let's have some positive news now. And onion farmers in KTN constituency of Nyeri County are raking in profits from farming, which has been seen more farmers in the region join this lucrative venture. With production cost in the region relatively low, the farmers are enjoying the higher margins that is seeing more farmers pick up the trade. KTN's Karon Derry visited the area and brings us this report.
It is a produce that is familiar to almost every Kenyan and one that seldom lacks in our kitchens. While many would associate its cultivation to the drier parts of the country, not many would have guessed that it is a booming business in Nyeri County. Farmers in the semi-arid KEMRI constituency in Nyeri have taken the cultivation of onions to a new level. Growing onions for sale has been a lucrative business for the farmers in the area since the introduction of hybrid varieties that has increased onion production tremendously. Such has been the success of the crop in KEMRI that it has been used as a case study by an international body, Farm Concern International.
This 1 kilogram of onion costs about 8 shillings, and the average market prices for onion this year has been 40 shillings at the farm gate level.
The delegation was led by Kenya's envoy to Belgium, Johnson Wero, with the Belgian government keen to support agricultural activity in the country.
50 billion. This is the package that the Kenya government has received from our EU partnership.
The biggest challenge for the farmers has been sourcing a market for their produce, but they recently came together to start a joint marketing platform to reap the full benefits from the crop.
Tunahitaji kutafutiwa market zaidi, sababu unaweza kuta mtu mwingine analima kitunguu lakini anaweza kosa mahali ya kuuzia.
That is why it is important to tell the farmers, you produce, it is our business to look markets for you.
Much has been said about the production of, say, coffee and tea, but little is ever said about the cultivation of onions. Yet farmers here in KEMRI constituency have proven that it is possible to make a tidy sum out of onion farming if it is done using the right technology and the adaptation of proper farming methods. Carol Derry, KTN, KEMRI.
Right, let's talk numbers now. So here's a look at the financial market report. Right, that's all we had for you in business. My name is Bonnie Tunya. Back to Edith and the real Househelps of Kawangware.
Welcome back to Friday Briefing, and a confirmation on that story we had spoken to you about earlier. Breaking news coming in indicates that 3 people have been confirmed dead. This is in Maisha Masha in Lamu County, where an attack seems to be ongoing. 3 people have been confirmed dead. Maisha Masha, remember, is in Lamu County, which is near Witu, and remember, Witu is the place which suffered an attack last month. We're being told that a bus, a taxi, and a police car were attacked. People were allegedly kidnapped and also taken to the forest. And of course, the Kenya police and the Kenya police reservists are allegedly tracking these attackers who allegedly fled to the forest. We'll be shortly speaking to an official to confirm these details for us. But so far, what we know is that 3 people have been confirmed dead from the Lamu attack. All right, just a recap of that. 3 people have been confirmed dead in Lamu in Maisha Masha. This is near Witu area. The attack comes as a bus, a police car, and a taxi were attacked, and apparently people were kidnapped and sent to the forest. Police reservists are following the people right now to see if they'll be able to track down those, if you'll be able to track down the attackers. I'm being told that we have someone on the line right now who we can speak to, who will be giving us more details on this. The head of KPR, I'm being told, is on the phone with us just to speak to us about those details. His name is Daniel. Daniel, are you able to hear us clearly?
Daniel Macheho Kahoshio.
Daniel?
Daniel Macheho Kahoshio.
All right, you're able to hear us clearly. We've just received this information, obviously very fresh from Lamu right now. Are you able to paint a picture whatsoever of what's happening on the ground?
Mimi niko operation saa hii nikiwa kama in charge commander, na baada ya saa moja na robo ndio tumepata ripoti kwamba kuna tahamidi ambayo imehatakiwa, lakini baadaye tukajaribu kufuatilia, tukapata ya kwamba hiyo tahamidi ilikuwa inatoka upande wa Witu ikielekea upande wa Mpeketoni, hapa katikati ya sasa ya mambo. Sasa hapa kona mbaya ndipo iliweza kukutana na probox. Ilipokutana na probox car ndivyo ikaweza kugonganishwa na hiyo basi. Walipogonganishwa na hiyo basi, majambazi waliweza kuruka, wakatoka nje na wakaanza kushambulia hiyo basi.
Okay. Daniel?
Yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Utanikubali I ask you questions in English, please. But do you know who the people who died are? Are we seeing the same trends of men being killed?
Wale ambao wamekufa abainao hatujajua kama ni wanawake, lakini tumethibitisha ni watu 3, na hiyo basi imetobolewa yote, na hatujajua kama ndani ya hiyo basi kuna watu ambao wameuawa kwa sababu imeshambuliwa yote, na kuna lori mbili zilikuwa za maembe zilipofika hapo muda huo, na nazo zikashambuliwa na taniboy akaweza kuuawa, ndio akapatikana hapo nje. Baada ya dakika kidogo ilipatikana ikapatikana Land Rover ya patrol. Ilipoingia baada ya dakika kidogo ilipoingia tu hapo na ikaweza nayo kushambuliwa, wakakabiliana hapo, ndipo majambazi wakaja upande wa Chaka na hawa na maskari wakaja upande wa Chaka. Ndio baadaye kali sasa ndio ikaanza kuingiza maskari na wakashika ambush area hiyo, na mpaka sasa saa hii hata ndege zimeshashuka na jeshi.
So, right now as the head of KPR, do you know anything about those people who have been kidnapped?
Hello?
Do you have any word on those people who have been kidnapped?
No.
Nothing about that. Mnajua ni watu wangapi ambao wametekwa nyara?
Watu ambao wametekwa nyara hatujajua ni wangapi, kwa sababu hata hizo gari ziko hapo barabarani ambapo mahali palipokuwa na mashambulizi, na wale ambao wametekwa nyara kwa kichaka hatujajua mpaka sasa ni wangapi, lakini askari wamefika, vikosi zaidi ya gari kama 6 na ndege 2 zimeshafika hapo mahali.
Okay, sorry, I haven't heard properly what you just said. Umesema ndege iko wapi?
Ndege zimeshuka hapo mahali ya mambo sasa, hapo hilo kona mbaya, hapo ambapo hizo gari ziliatakiwa.
Okay, now Daniel, before we let you go, has the attack ended or is it still ongoing?
Sorry?
Has the attack ended? Mashambulizi yanaendelea ama yameisha?
Mashambulizi mpaka saa hii yamesimama, hayaendelei. Mashambulizi yaliendelea baada ya kuwa sasa hiyo probox ilipogonganishwa, kwa sababu probox ilikuwa imebeba hao majambazi, ikagonganishwa na hii basi ya tahamidi.
Okay.
Wakaanza kushambulia wakaweza kushambulia hata lori zile zilikuwa nyuma, lakini saa hii mashambulizi yamesimama, hakuna mashambulizi yanaendelea.
All right. Thank you very much, Daniel Kahosho. He is the head of the Kenya Police Reservists in Lamu. He's just confirmed to us that 3 people have indeed died from the latest attack in Lamu County in an area called Maishamasha, which is just near Witu, an area which not too long ago faced an ambush itself. Speaking to us just now, speaking of helicopters, I'm assuming that's what he was talking about, speaking Kiswahili, helicopters and choppers hovering the forest where it is alleged that people have been kidnapped and sent to that area. So just confirming again that as the head of KPR has just confirmed, 3 people have been killed in the fresh attack in Lamu and an unknown number of people taken hostage, possibly dragged into the forest. Right now, let's take Willis, the word master, with Mind Your Language. The favorite segments right here on Friday Briefing. I'm talking about time for one of the favorite segments right here on Friday Briefing. I'm talking about Mind Your Language with no other than Willis, the word master from Kisumu. Willis, how are you today?
Edith, I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. You're looking devilishly handsome. Where are you going after this, Willis?
Handsome? Handsome for Mind Your Language, that is.
Well, okay. Now that we're here on this Mind Your Language Day, let's kick off with the words on the street. Today was a bit tricky. The first 2 words, the first one being the word which is used to describe when things are going out of kilter. So AWRY. And the second one, a word used to describe something that is strange or frightening. EERIE. How do you pronounce these words, Willis?
Well, people on the streets really tried, if I may first say that. They really tried, because certain English words are very tricky, Edith. But the first word is awry. 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 Many people find themselves saying Ori, but that is not the correct pronunciation of that word. Awry. The second one is eerie. 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 Not airy, the way sometimes we hear about that in ordinary communication.
Okay, so awry and eerie. Now we're in the know. The second pair of words, they sound almost similar. They look like they should sound the same, but they're completely different. WARY and WORRY.
Oh, Edith, we have what we call minimal pairs, words which look alike in some way, or they're partially looking alike, but the pronunciation itself, of course, has just a single feature of difference. So the first word, WARRIOR, from the word war, we say warrior, a warrior, not warrior, the way we are used to saying that locally. Then when somebody is known to be, one who worries a lot, we say warrior. He is a warrior. That is WORRIER.
Okay, so Willis, you're telling me that WORRIER is actually warrior. It's almost as though there's an A there.
Yes, so letter O takes the sounding that is what we call a mid-central vowel warrior.
Okay, then there are 2 words which I had asked you earlier. WARY, when you're wary, or is it wary of something? And you just said it's warrior, so I'm assuming it's worry, WORRY.
No, we say wary for WARY, to be wary of something, wary, WARY. But WORRY, to worry a lot. That is why we talk of he is a warrior, one who worries a lot, warrior. But here we say worry. Yes.
Wary and worry. I have to remember that. And especially warrior and warrior. Okay. And then the other word that I have here today is what happens when there is an outbreak of a disease. People are put in a quarantine quarantine area? What's the proper pronunciation for this word?
Many people say quarantine, which is wrong. We say quarantine, quarantine, a quarantine. Just like we say quarrel, not quarrel or quarrel, quarrel. Then we say quarter. So letter A, the first letter A in that word takes the sounding O, a short vowel O.
All right, I've run out of words, Willis. It's your turn. What's the surprise word for this evening?
My surprise word comes from one Dr. Bill. And Edith, he really laughed when some people tried to pronounce that word wherever he was, as he was calling me. So he talked of what we call meningitis. We mispronounce that word. We also misspell it. That is when we say meningitis. We don't have anything like that. We say meningitis, meningitis, not meningitis. That is my surprise word for tonight. And not forgetting also to commend you because you also look so smart tonight.
Well, thank you very much. Look at you, leaving me blushing. So that's where we'll end Mind Your Language this week. Oh yeah, I'm seriously blushing. With Willis, we'll catch him on Friday. Time now for the sports with Lynn Washira, who is standing by. Lynn, what do we have in the sports tonight?
We have quite a lot, but I think the most recent news that we have is some news from the Monaco Diamond League that's ongoing. And of course, we'll have those results right after a short break. Don't go away, do stay with us.
3 events rolled up in one. Kenya's triathlon team sets eyes on medals.
But on a winning note, Silas Kiplagat won the 1500 meters race ahead of Olympic and world champion Asbel Kiprop. But moving on, the Kenyan triathlon team to the Glasgow Commonwealth Games is all set, and it hopes its inaugural Commonwealth Games appearance will become a new medal hunting ground for Kenya. The East African country will be represented by 4 triathletes led by talented and experienced Swale Balala.
Triathlon is arguably the most intense and challenging sport among other disciplines. It combines 3 unique and challenging events that test an athlete's overall fitness, skills, and endurance. Participants start with a 1500 meters open swim before switching to a 40 kilometers road cycle and finish with a 10 kilometers run. Although he came into contact with the sport by chance, Mombasa-based Swale Balala has been practicing the sport since 2009. He's the most experienced triathlete in the country, and he earned his first Commonwealth Games ticket through sheer hard work and determination.
In the beginning it was quite difficult because it's really hard for your body to adjust from swimming, then you cycle, then you run. It's really hard for your heart rate and your muscles. They're not used to it. But the more you train, the more easier it gets, the more your transition to other sports is easier. Being amongst the top 5 is a really great challenge. But what I'm aiming for is number 1.
Strategy plays a major role in the energy sapping sport, and each competitor utilizes their strongest link while creating a good balance.
I want a challenge, and I think one sport was not enough for me. I needed all 3.
Jessie Dubois is another Kenyan representative, and though she got into the sport just for adventure, she says she's ready to take her performance to the next level in Glasgow. Her strongest point is swimming, but the national triathlon coach Salonik Olekoyet's work will be there for all to see in Glasgow.
Yeah, it's been fascinating, this whole training camp here. I've never done this intense training with other team members, and it's been so helpful in terms of technique.
We have very strong athletes in their own respects and with their own exposures. Of course, Swale Balala is the most experienced of all the 4 athletes, having taken part in different events.
Apart from the individual events, countries will get an opportunity to take part in a mixed relay event for the first time at the Commonwealth Games.
All the best to that triathlon team that's already in Glasgow for the Commonwealth Games. And finally, it was a day characterized by shattered dreams as well as revolution of age-old glory for others. That sums up the Nzoia Regional Airtel Rising Stars Championships at the Kakamega High School, as Francis Otomwa reports.
The effects of the 12th man.
It was a stage of upsets and admirations all rolled into one as the Nzoia Regional Championships continued here at the Kakamega High School grounds. The match revered St. Anthony Kitale were the first set of surprise. The former National Soccer Kings rudely bowed out of the competition. Regional defending stars Kapenguria High also ditched the competition prematurely after losing all their group stage matches. It was a heady start for Kakamega High School's Green Commandos, who maintained a clean sheet, winning all their matches to book a semi-final date with Busia's St. Paul's Amukura High School. Vihiga's Chavakali will meet Chesamisi from Bungoma in the other semi-final duel. In volleyball, East African Kings Malava Boys will face off with Cherangani Boys of Trans Nzoia in the finals in what is expected to be a battle of titans. Sister school Malava Girls bounced back after last year's setbacks to book a date with regional queens Lugulu Girls in the final to be staged tomorrow.
Tony and Kapenguria are former national champions, and therefore having been eliminated at this level, it means the competition is extremely tough. We are going to have very good competitors representing the region, and they have the potential of retaining the national trophies. In girls soccer, favorite starter girls will square it out with Archbishop Njenga, while Butere will lock horns with last year's runners-up Uyeta from Trans Nzoia in the semi-finals. It is a grueling battle of wits here at the Nzoia Regional Championships, and with season sides having qualified for the finals, it was to be seen which side will have the blockbusting finish. Francis Ontomwa, KTN Sports, Kakamega.
And that's how we wrap up tonight's bulletin of KTN Sports. Do stay with us. Edith Kimani and the real Househelps of Kawangware will be right back to wrap up the bulletin.
Well, we are continuing with our coverage right here on KTN Friday Briefing. A lot of questions coming in with regard to what's happening in Lamu. So just a recap, and just as the head of KPR has just confirmed to us, 3 people have been confirmed dead at Maisha Masha, that's near Witu. And if you remember, this is another place which suffered an attack last month. And there is also an unknown number of people who have been taken hostage, possibly dragged into the forest. We are also being told that police and members of the KPR have launched a massive counterattack on the attackers. Now into the forest, hopefully they'll be able to recover those who have been kidnapped as well. And there's also reports of helicopters just doing rounds around that area, and we'll be giving you more details on our Twitter handle. Please follow us at KTN Kenya for continued coverage of this story. Big question tonight. We had asked you if you thought what Joseph Lenku said with regard to firing someone if one more person dies from drinking adulterated drinks would help. Well, a huge majority of you, 83%, say no, while only 17% of you say yes. And I'm just seeing the responses coming in now. A lot of people saying Olelenku has no right to question anyone with regard to security, with regard to adulterated drinks, given that the security situation in the country looks like it is deteriorating. So thank you very much for your feedback. There are the numbers again. 83% of you no, 17% yes. The question was, do you think the government's threats will deter distributors of toxic liquor? And we're back on a happy note with the Real Housewives of Kawangware. We're winding up the show. How did you like your experience? Hey, everyone has become shy all of a sudden. Okay, are you guys done fighting? Is this how you fight all the time in your mother tongues, all of you?
Yeah, that's what happens.
So are we what just happened right now?
Turu loves food so much, eh?
So what were you telling her?
She should take it slow, eh? Turu, we are live.
Turu, by the way, kuna mtu amesema ati you're very shy. Is this true?
Uliza.
No, she's just happened to be hungry.
Okay, we're winding up the show now. Yeah. One last question for each and every one of you. What do you hope for the show in the coming season, and what should people look out for? Awiti.
Oh, people should be looking out for a more harsh Awiti. We'll be fighting everybody.
You've already been arrested. You want to fight more people?
Hey, even that Inspector Commander, I'm looking for him. Next time you'll see me fighting him.
Jugush, what amesema mko na muscles? Are you going to be lifting weights this season?
Wow. Thank you very much for that compliment. What I'll say is that for me as a person, I only wish for the best and the better. So what I'm looking at is for the show to grow because we're in season 2. So whatever could happen to this show, the reception is massive. So whatever could happen to this show is maybe better because what we have awesome cast, we have awesome director. By the big up Phil, he is called Melvin. He was apparently in another program called Melvin, but now he's Phil Karanja. Okay. He's our director, and then our scriptwriter.
I have to cut you short because we're running out of time. Trufena, very, very quickly, what do you want for the show?
I want to tell people to expect more.
To expect more.
Yeah.
I like that. Enough said. Thank you very much for tuning in to KTN Friday Briefing. My name is Edith Kimani. Let's do this again next Friday, God willing.
We want to say happy birthday to our boss, Sarah Migwa.
Oh, okay, let's do that.
Yeah, and we have a present
Mimi nataka kutuma salamu.
Wait, we have a present for Edith.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, as the Real Househelps family, tulijiangalia.
Yeah. And what informed this decision?
Nicho kidogo, tuliona nikachoka dogo. So not really. So it's very convenient. Instead to make it around Mickey, just one is enough. Moja alafu naenda moja.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I will use it wisely. Okay. Good night. Please tell our girls good night.
Sijatuma salamu.
Salamu ni kesho.
Basi Masaku 7 sipelekweko tu Kakamega basi.
Please, can you stop this show?
Awaidaka.
Good night.
Good night.
How's
Good night.
Good night.
Mukone meso.